Hello, everybody, and hello. I would like to welcome you to my talk, and also I would like to welcome you to a kind of a retrospective for our Earth, because I think we have a problem, but we will see later. Just for you, it's me. My name is Maximilian. The internet knows me as Electric Max. On almost all channels, and you can also write me an email and so on. I'm working for a company called Mayflower. We have 3 bases in Germany. We do software development and consulting and all the fancy stuff. And if you'd like to get more information, you can contact me here on the floor or somewhere else. As a normal retrospective, I would like to give you a kind of an agenda. We can't do it as a retrospective here, but I would like to keep the normal parts for the agenda with hopefully some outcome at the end. And for the gather data, I'm looking on our Earth from a perspective from 2100, and if we do nothing, and currently we are doing nothing, we will get a temperature increasement of 4 to 5 degrees, and this will cause a lot of problems, like floods, like refugees. And the refugees are not only moving away from their living spaces because they can't live there anymore. They will move from there because of wars about resources, wars about water or food. And we have had, I think, that were 1.5 million refugees in the year 2015. You can multiply this by 100 or more just to get a comparison how big this problem is, because we are in a wealthy place here in Europe, but in Africa, for instance, or India, they will get the most problems, and they still have problems. For the data, we trust the scientists, and the scientists are organized in a panel called IPCC, and it's called Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And there, the scientists give us the information since 1990, and they give us a report every 7 years. So the last report is from 2014, and we also get some reports in between, because they have to correct their data. And mostly they have to correct it into a direction which draws our future more worse than we thought before. Just some examples in an overview. We will get more heating periods over time. We have seen it in the last years. 2018 was the fourth hottest year in the complete history. And you could say maybe, it's just the fourth. Where had been the other 3 on the top? And this were 2017, 2016, and 2015. So we really feel, and we are really inside this change, and we have to stop it at some point to not get higher temperatures and bigger problems, because those heating periods, if they get more, we will get a lot of more problems, like our wheat production. We have a lot of we have to change it, and a lot of populations or a lot of areas in the world won't have any chance to produce their food, and especially when we see the situation in India. India has got a really rising popularity not popular. So their amount is growing so much, and on the other side, they will have less food in the upcoming years, and there the problems come from when we see the picture about the refugees. Somebody here from the Netherlands or some coastal people here. You know that you get problems in the upcoming years with more storm floods. Maybe your town will you will have a lot of water in your room in your house, because we will lose a lot of coastal areas because of the rising of the oceans. But this are. I think the data I show you here, or I mentioned in the text, you know it. It's just the data which is around us. I would like to come to the data which belongs to our industry, and so this is my intro for the generation of the insights, and the main issue we have at the moment are the greenhouse gases. It's quite typical to have them in our air. We have them all the times, but we've got a problem. We increased their amount, and this is just a chart for carbon dioxide for the last 20 years, where we increased it by a factor of we increased it so much, and we still know that we shouldn't do, but we are still in the period where we increased it. I talked to a scientist yesterday, and he pointed me on 2015, and this was quite. The scientists thought in 2015, we got it. We have got some point to move the curve, and. But you see it in 2016 and the following years, it was a little bit too early to be that happy. And a thing we learn in school, what happens by those greenhouse gases is we have the temperature which increased over the last century and which gets higher over the last years, but this is quite a normal behavior we learn at school, but we do nothing at the moment. So the next chart is just to give you an overview what those greenhouse gases are. It's carbon dioxide. It's the main part. It's also methane, which is produced by some cows that we will eat at a barbecue, but they will consume or produce some gas. Nitrous oxide is the thing we got the problem with our diesel cars in the cities. But the main issue is the carbon dioxide, and this, carbon dioxide is produced by burning fossil fuels. Is the thing we know. But what is the problem with our industry? Do we have a responsibility there? My machine here doesn't have any output, any emission out there. I see no coal burning. What is our part? And our part in this game or in this in this situation is the electricity. And here you can see a card for electricity production and a legend how many carbon dioxide emissions are included when producing electricity. So an example would be Germany. When we produce our electricity, we do it by emitting 200. What is the number? Isn't really listen. 279 gram carbon dioxide per kilowatt hour. So every kilowatt hour you take from your energy provider is polluted from my point of view by carbon dioxide, and so all our machines are consuming those energy. But when you look at those numbers and you try to compare, and you are too fast, you can run in a trap, because this is this is German amount of electricity energy. So electricity produced by years. It was in the year last year. No, this is just a forecast. In 2017, we used about 500 terawatt hours for electricity. And here's a good point to throw another number inside. Our industry, so telecommunication and internet and so on, consumes about 60 terawatt hours a year. So the last year would be 2017. We consumed 60 terawatt hours, and comparing it with that graph would mean, so nearly 10% of the energy we are producing. And these are numbers some newspapers are printing and are telling the people, but it's not the correct number. I will show you one slide later what the correct number is. I just want to give you an overview for our energy production, what the parts are, or which parts are inside our energy production. And you can see it's nearly 45% of our energy is produced by burning several fossils, and it's only about 25% is not on renewables. So here's a chart which comes to the right numbers. This is the overall power consumption in Germany. It's about 2,500 terawatt hours a year, or for the last years, and this is quite 5 times of the energy production or energy consumption. And compared to this number, our part in the energy consumption is just about 2%. So it's just a smaller number. It's not that big, but behind the smaller number still stands an emission of nearly 30 million tons of carbon dioxide. This is quite a big number again, and it's a responsibility, because we have to go down unto zero to stop. This is the only chance to stop the complete process. There's no chance to bring it only a little bit down, or to hold it on the same level, because holding it on the same level would still emit carbon dioxide and would increase the amount we have in our air, and would still move on the transition to the climate change. So what can we do? Which is mostly the last part of a retrospective, but I've got more slides here now. One thing would be switch it off. It's for some people it's just the easiest solution. I have had those conversations with some people that says, "Oh, your industry is bad, and you consume so much energy, and you can switch it off, and we have less problems in our bureau." It's a quite stupid conversation from my point of view, because we are part of the solution also, because I miss a slide. Is it here? Oh, unfortunately I put it down instead of right. I think the climate strike we currently see on the streets wouldn't be possible with writing letters or something else. It's just the connection we as software developers gives them. I know from the Fridays for Future from Germany, they are deeply connected through WhatsApp, which isn't that cool tool, but they from the user perspective and from a non-technique user perspective, it is the easiest way to connect them. So they have got really big groups on WhatsApp just for announcing stuff, and this is a technique coming from the internet or from our colleagues somewhere else. So it wouldn't be possible those connections, and but there are other tasks we can do and we should solve to support the transformation we need, because we need a lot of there's a lot of stuff to do. Just the transformation for the energy production. Therefore, we need those smart grids, because we have to reach that point that we have a decentralized energy production, that all households maybe have a solar system on their roofs, and those systems have to be connected, because we have to and for those connections and to not damage the grid, software is needed. And also data calculation is needed for some presentation. It seems to be quite easy, but the calculations for the forecasts are only possible at the moment because of big data analysis. And they are drawing a more and more clear picture of our future. And another thing which solves a lot of problems, doesn't be so clear, can be autonomous driving, because I think the world where we own a lot of cars is over. And I think we don't have to own them. I just want to push a button on my phone and get that car that I currently need in. So if I just want to go to the city or to the next central station, I just need a small car. And if I want to go to vacation with my family, I've got almost 3 kids, so then I would need a bigger car. And this would be is a thing which is ongoing. I think the big cities still have it. You can rent your cars, but they still stand still and do not come to you. So in future, I think this can solve a lot of problems. But the major task would be to bring it down on zero, and each industry has to do it on their own, or has to look on their own numbers. And our number isn't that big, and we have got a lot of marketing which tries to draw a picture that our cloud infrastructure maybe is very green too, but it isn't that. Maybe Google says they have got 100% of renewables since 2 years, but we don't look at the whole process, because Google skipped one application in their papers, and this is YouTube. And YouTube is quite a good used application, and the end user also consumes energy. So when the data centers are green, maybe we can trust them or not. But we should have also a look at the customers. And the most normal customers do not divide or distinct between different energy providers. So we still have carbon in our in that application. Just as I said it with Google, the other cloud providers aren't at 100%. AWS is currently at a point of 50% since 2 years. They stocked somehow, and nobody knows why. Yeah, maybe it is expensive to do it, but with that amount of servers they have, it would be also expensive to have maybe a tax on their carbon dioxide emission, and this would be a solution to control it a little bit, maybe. Another example, like AWS, is Azure. Azure is currently at 60%, and they said they want to be at 100 in 2023. It's the same, almost the same for IBM Cloud, and there is a thing. We as a developer has maybe we have a decision, and maybe we trust Google or not, or we can make some power on them, or get AWS on their nerves to get 100% also, and yeah. But there are smaller things, just we can do. It's a kind of a mixture of personal things or things our companies can do. We should check our provider, our electricity provider, because we have a control over it. We can buy the electricity where we want to buy it, and we can choose the one with 100% renewables, and this would make a pressure on the market also. Same, as I said, is the cloud provider. And a good thing, what in my opinion is, makes the energy consumption visible. So the easiest way would be just to do the maybe if your company has monthly reports, you have got reports from your energy provider, it's quite easy to simply copy the number from your bill to your kitchen, or where you have your social area, or draw it in a graph. Yeah. One question I can't really solve at the moment is to evaluate remote or present meetings. Because if we are in a company where everybody has to drive an hour to come to the office, and most of them are driving by cars, it will be a very, very bad situation, because the transport system is one of the dirtiest systems we have. And I saw it as I tried to calculate the emission of such a conference we are having here. There are some calculators online, and I calculated a number around 378 tons of carbon dioxide for just the 3 conference days. This is quite a lot, but it's not the conference itself. 300 tons of them is just for your transport. It's just I do not really know how you come here, but it's just the average that is used for calculations there. Some of you are still located in Berlin. Some of you fly over here from New York, and so the number comes. It's the same factor for the energy consumption of a company is the transport of the employees to the company, and so the question must to be solved if it would be better to have remote meetings or to have more home office in favor of or instead of present meetings. That we have different social situations, and is clear. We have to solve this problem also, but there's a way between remote and present. Maybe can be to collect some of the colleagues in some kind of co-working spaces. So not everybody or not the complete company has to come to a single space. We divide the spaces in co-working spaces, so we still have colleagues there or other people to talk with, because having a home office 350 days a year isn't that good for socializing. And mostly coding is some kind of social interaction also. We all know technical depths. It's a well-known abstraction when we write dirty codes or when we just do it quick and dirty. And it's a thing we try to solve and by creating maybe a ticket and doing it later. Mostly it doesn't work. But those depths are well known in our industry that are even known, not only known among us developers, it's even known through our business people, through our customers, because they can calculate them. But does anybody care about the depths we have to pay for climate damage? Nobody knows about those numbers, and because nobody calculates it. But who has to pay those debts? Who has to pay those debts? Who has got children here? So your children and me too have to pay those debts, and the price will be really, really high. And this is a thing we have to take in our head, this is the thing which motivates me to work for this, to support the movement and to do those things, to avoid the situation that my children have to pay the debts that my children have in the future. And so I would like to give some examples, because it was in my title to create some kind of a price tag. Some of the calculations are easy, some of them are not that easy, and one price is really low. It's just 1 hour YouTube streaming is less than 1 cent to pay for. And where do I get the number from? Well, the number is still, well, the factor to calculate those amount is currently 180 euros per ton carbon dioxide. So this number comes from this number comes even from our government and from the scientists, but the government doesn't want to realize their own numbers. And 180 euros is just the amount of money which is a representation for the damage we are making when emitting 1 ton carbon dioxide. So it could be that easy, because we could simply pay it instead of just not seeing it. But we have a political problem at the moment in Germany. There are countries which have those kind of taxes, because the numbers aren't that high. Here you see the example for YouTube streaming. If you stream higher videos with higher resolutions like Netflix, the number gets a little bit higher, sure. But it isn't that high. Even for driving a car, 500 kilometers with an average car is about 2 euros. And 2 euros is not that high, not that big. Same is for a flight. A flight from Berlin to Munich, somebody going back tonight from Berlin to Munich, just for those week, you would emit 190 kilogram carbon dioxide, and so you would have to pay a tax about 4 euros. This isn't that high. It will be really high for energy providers, which really emit an amount of carbon dioxide, but therefore those taxes are to control it and to give it a price tag, to give it a value. And I think our capitalistic system only understands things if it has a value. There's no way to do it. There's no other way to do it. there are more examples for those calculations. There are a lot of calculators around the internet to calculate the carbon dioxide emission for Action X. As I looked for the YouTube value, I struggled about a real paper about the hype around this Gangnam Style video on YouTube. This was an example how much is how big the carbon dioxide emission was there, and another thing we should think about is our development culture. I don't know if there is any other industry which has such a, it's not strange, but such a culture like having kids or something else, because we have so many gimmicks, so many extra things other industries doesn't have. We have some kinds of, as most companies or some companies have some kinds of Slack days where we can practice our things. We have playgrounds in our offices just to get the developers working. We are going on conferences, and there we have got playgrounds too, or parties, or something else. It's a culture. It's cool for socializing, but it also is some kind of luxury, I think. I won't say we should avoid those things, but we should think about it when having those luxury things, because we emit carbon dioxide. The same is, I think, for the consumer behavior. We as developers and the complete digitalization is a big factor to do things right, to do things better, and to emit less carbon dioxide, because just the invention of e-book readers like the Kindle would solve the problem, because books also emit carbon dioxide in their production, in their transport, and so on. If you read your books on an e-book reader, you would need about 30 books to be on the same level, and every other book would be positive on your climate footprint. So the scientists call it a dematerialization of things, because the book isn't there anymore. We have it in our device. One problem is there that our devices don't live that long anymore. So most people change their smartphones every 2 years, and this period is quite too short to compensate the production and the the emission for those devices. And when we as developers, or when the digitalization makes some steps, new goals in making things better, we compensate it by consume. So a good example is streaming. I think the amount of hours we are currently looking videos, or we are currently watching TV, compared to the time where we only have video cassettes, it is quite awesome how big this number is. So we try to we replace the VHS video by a digital thing, which is quite cool for the environment. But then we increase the consumption in an amount which is incredible. A last thing I want to mention here as things we can do is to become political. We are currently in a very, very, very strange situation. We have kids on the streets that try to get their future back, and we have so less support from the parents. There are organizations that are called parents that are quite less, but it could be even more. So this is a major thing to make all aware, to speak about it, to go on the strikes, also to support them, because supporting those movements isn't only done through going to the strike. We can also support them by argumentation on social media, because some of those of the leaders of the strikes really get trouble even with politicians, so it's awesome how bad those communications or those arguments are in the social media. And each, I would call it industry, or each part of our society has some kind of created some kind of organization to support the children on the street. All parents can go to the Parents for Future. All scientists can go to the Scientists for Future. And even the business guys here are collected in an organization called Entrepreneurs for Future. And they are really interested in supporting the kids, and also interested to to transform their own companies. And this is quite cool, because the business guys are doing it right. And I left one over at the end, because we are developers, and there's also, I need this one, there's also an organization called Developers for Future, where developers can put in their effort. The organization, I founded, I think 6 weeks ago, and I also created a Twitter handle, and this is my first Twitter handle I can't control anymore, because the timeline is running that fast, the input is that fast. It's quite awesome, and there we have got little software projects to support the movement. For example, we currently are writing the subscription form for the Scientists for Future for their World campaign, because they have had a campaign here in Germany and they extended it to the world. So it's just a little form for subscription. We also create a kind of supporter system to organize supporters, or to organize resources which are needed for some events, and they do not have only strikes. They have got more events. They go on cleaning events on Saturday. They have their preparations and so on. And there's a lot of tasks to do. It's quite like an open source community, I would call it. We also only take open source stuff. We try to make it as open as possible. Yeah. So if you like to join, I would be very happy, because it's for a good reason. And we all should do something, either by joining some of the organization, by joining the strikers on the street, because if we do nothing, it's game over. And my talk is over then too.